Hello again, Internet. Welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls. I have been a little bit busy since the last video doing things with my character, mostly grinding. Basically, what have I got? I've got a short sword now. I was killing some enemies and one of them dropped a short sword, which is infinitely better than the dagger, so I switched to it. That's going to be more useful to us now. You can see I'll be using more of the short sword in a bit. Also, if you look at my stats screen, I have improved my stats somewhat. Intelligence is now at 23. You might be wondering where I got these souls from, and you know what, let me show you right here. This ladder that we kicked down leads us back up to where the Hellkite dragon is. And what you can do is basically, well, you know what, I'm going to show you. Of course I'm going to show you. You basically run up to this area of the bridge where the dragon was trying to torch you. You run back out real quick, and then quickly move back down the stairs. The dragon will torch everybody on the bridge, which will give you 555 souls, and then you climb back down the ladder, head to the bonfire, and just keep repeating that over and over. If you move it fast enough, you can get about 1,000 souls a minute that way, which is useful at this point in the game. Here, I use it to level up my strength, just so I am able to carry a longsword, because at some point I am going to get a longsword, and I'm going to do stuff to it, because even though we are going to be a sorcerer throughout the game, we can get ourselves that magic longsword, which is going to be useful to us. It's going to do a lot of damage if we level up our intelligence enough. Anyway, actually moving forward in the game. So right now we're underneath the Hellkite Dragon Bridge, and we're taking an alternate route to the next area of the game, the Undead Parish. Backstab this guy. Check that out. These guys still require a couple of backstabs to take out, but otherwise... Oh, parry works too. Probably one parry can take care of it. In a little bit, we'll upgrade our longsword, and oh, here we go. Right there, you can see the Hellkite Dragon's tail swinging back and forth. If you shoot that with enough arrows, you will eventually get the Drake Sword, which is good if you're building a run with a bit more strength, but right now our strength is so low that it's probably not going to be of much use to us. We could probably do better with a magic sword anyway. So, shooting this guy with soul arrows, because attacking him with a sword in the right hand will just have it clang uselessly off the side of the bridge. Here we have rats. Rats will poison you. And right now you can see I am totally conflicted as to what to do, because I could sword them, but I don't know if I could sword them to death fast enough, because I am weaker with a sword than I usually am. So I decided to just go ahead and soul arrow these guys, and of course my first shot missed, because I'm terrible. So that's one rat down, that's one rat biting me. And that's two rats down, and unfortunately neither one of them dropped humanity. Rats are the most common enemy that will drop humanity, or rats will drop humanity the most often out of all of the enemies in the game. So if you have a serious humanity shortage and you need to pick up some more rats, are probably your best bet. Infinite humanity, that one message said. So yep, we climb up this ladder here, and we will arrive in the Undead Parish. And this is where our next boss is, and where we will find the first Bell of Awakening. Gonna take out this guy real quick. Anyway, oh, what did he drop? I should have gone back and seen what he dropped. Anyhow, there are actually two ways to get up to the Undead Parish. We're about to see a second one. Right here, another thing that I did I forgot to mention is that I went back to the New Londo Ruins, talked to Rickert, and bought this heavy soul arrow because it will save my life in a couple minutes. Anyway, yeah, so we can, instead of going underneath the bridge and just running past the Hellkite Dragon underneath, we can run past the Hellkite Dragon on top of the bridge if we get really lucky. And here I equip a light crossbow because I don't really know how to get past the Hellkite Dragon yet, but fortunately I will find it out in time and you guys can see what strategy I used. Anyhow, so I'm gonna charge forward into the Hellkite Dragon and let's see how well this goes for me. Hopefully not too bad. Okay, so that could have gone a bit better. But anyway, third time's the charm. So, okay, you run up the stairs and you quickly run behind this here wall, because this wall will protect you completely from the Hellkite Dragon's flames, at least when he's standing up on his perch. But if you wait around for a couple of seconds, about 10-15 seconds or so, he's going to leap down, and that is going to be your chance to make it past him. So let's give it a second. There we go. So he lands there, and we quickly run past his claws. Unfortunately for me, he dashes forward instead of using his torch attack, so I am able to get to the bonfire. You'll notice that my blood stain is right here at the bonfire. That's because last time I did, he turned around and torched me. But here we are, and we're safe. Now this particular area is interesting for me because this is the part of the game that was used during the E3 2011 Dark Souls demo. And I was on hand at E3 to play that game, and I'd never played a Souls game before. And so they decided to give me the full Souls experience. I started off right over there where the Altar of Sunlight is on top of the stairs. And they said to go inside and take a left and go on the bridge. And I said, but there's a giant dragon there. And they said, yeah, go ahead and fight him. And so I ran up and tried to stab him, and he torched me. And they said, haha, you weren't supposed to go there. Actually pull this lever and raise this gate. And yeah, that's pretty much how the rest of the demo went. It was them intentionally leading me to my death, laughing at me for a second, and then showing me the much easier way that I could have gone about it. So, yep. There is the armored boar, which has caused a lot of people grief. And yes, they did tell me that I should go ahead and attack the boar and try and defeat it and see how well I would do. And you can just imagine how well that went over as a guy who had never played a Souls game before. So yeah, even then, when I was still learning how to play the game, they wanted me to learn that I was going to die. And as you can see there, I just realized that I still have my light crossbow equipped, so I'm switching back to a short sword. And here I have not grown any smarter since E3 2011, and I'm debating whether or not to fight this giant armored boar. And right here I decide that no, the armored boar is very scary, and I'm going to do something else. So I run up these stairs here, and this is just to take out a few enemies. Or actually, it's not just to take out a few enemies. I'm going to go ahead and soul arrow this dude. Just want to get rid of all the enemies up on this ledge because they will annoy me while I'm trying to kill the boar. Alright then, so that's one guy down, and we quickly fire off a couple more soul arrows to take care of the archers. And they're down. So I'm going to run over here, and I forget what this item is. Oh wait, I remember now. It's the Alluring Skull, which you can use to lure the boar over. But fortunately, we're in range. We're going to use our heavy soul arrows instead. Most people, they use fire bombs because the boar is weak to fire, but this heavy soul arrow just does ridiculous amounts of damage. 3 heavy soul arrows, and the boar is down, which is amazing. So yeah, we can save our fire bombs for some other occasion. I don't really know what that occasion might be. Honestly, the only time I've ever used a fire bomb is to kill the armored boar. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to be holding on to a whole bunch of fire bombs for the rest of the game. And yes, they did eventually tell me that I should go up and around and, just drop fire bombs on the boar from above. So, yeah, they were teaching me how to think outside the box, but they did it in the rather roundabout way of making sure I died a lot. So, okay, he dropped a thing. What did he drop? With our 5 humanity, we managed a Fang Boar helm. That's great. I don't know if I'll ever be wearing it. We'll have to see. So, right now, I could run over here. The gate is locked. If you are really fast, you can run through this portion of the Undead Parish and get under the gate before it's locked. But, nope, we won't be doing that. What you're supposed to do right now is take the downward stairs that are right next to the boar. You're supposed to do that before you even fight the boar, because that will get you around and it will grab you some things. At least that's what they did at E3. They told me to go down the stairs, I'll go around some areas, and then I'll come back out and fight the boar. But instead, I'm going up this twisty tower, because up here is the bane of my existence for a little while, a Black Knight. Normally I would not be touching this guy, but with the heavy soul arrow I have a bit of an edge, so I'm going to try and backstab him and fail miserably, of course. So now I just run like hell back down the tower, because there is no way I am fighting a greatsword Black Knight on top of that particular tower. That is suicide. So instead I'm going to drag him out into this more open arena. Look behind me, and he's not following me for some reason. And every once in a while, when you attack this Black Knight and run down the tower fast enough, he will just sort of shrug it off and wander back to where he was before. So that's the current plan, is to just go back up there and use a heavy soul arrow instead of a backstab, and that will get me a bit better of an advantage. So let's go up here. I'm getting my heavy soul arrow ready to deploy, and oh my god. Okay, so I guess my best guess here is that he was in the process of running back up the tower, but then I ran back up after him all loud and stuff, and that made him turn back around. But anyway, let's go ahead and fight this guy. I am not going to try with the backstabs like I was doing in the Undead Burg, because now I have a much more powerful weapon that will... Ow. Okay, he has a really powerful weapon too, but I have Estus, so I'm okay. Meanwhile, he has no choice but to suffer my heavy soul arrows. And once again, 3 of those heavy soul arrows will take care of the Black Knight. I get a Titanite chunk, and I get his greatsword. I don't know if I'll ever have the strength to wield it, but that's pretty sweet. So anyway, we've taken care of the armored boar, and against all logic, we've taken care of the Black Knight early, which is one of the great perks of being a sorcerer. So we're going to go down this particular area and find our way to the undead church. Kill that guy, stab this guy. Pretty sure I get stabbed by another guy here, because I always underestimate the amount of guys. Oh. That guy was slow on the uptake, so I remain unstabbed this day. Roll into some barrels, because, as we all know, I am very barrel phobic and I must destroy all barrels. Here's a dude who somehow catches me off guard. No matter how often I play this game, I always manage to not learn my lesson and run too far ahead in a certain situation, and it gets me killed. So, stab that guy. Drink some Estus. I'm now down to... I can't see exactly how many Estus flasks I have. I think it's 4. Ah, stupid standard definition. I need a much better definition capture card, but we'll worry about that another day. For now, we will stab, we will slice this guy, we will slice this table, and this poor fellow is holding a mystery key. What it unlocks is a mystery, until later in this video when I show you exactly what it unlocks. Anyway, I guess there's not a whole lot to say about this particular area. Just some dudes, some ladders. Kill the dudes, climb the ladders. You can wander off out into the rafters here, which I'm going to do. And you can see there's an item right there that you can pick up. So just carefully wander across these rafters and you'll find yourself with a mystery thing, which turns out to be a large soul of a lost undead, approximately 4 Oscars. This is some good practice from later in the game where they will force you to walk across much more dangerous rafters. But for now, it's just a little bit of thing that you don't even have to do. So, nothing around here but more wood, which I would smash up if I had the inclination to do so, but instead I'm wandering through the white light. And where am I now? I'm back outside, and in the E3 demo, this is where they told me that I should drop down and take out a couple of archers a bit easier way because I'm close to them, and then from there I can use fire bombs on the boar. But I've already killed the boar, so instead I'm going to go up and backstab this Balder Knight. So he's down, and I try to run past him, but you can see it doesn't work, and so now I'm stuck in this corridor. He's got his sword raised. He's waiting for me to parry. And right now, here I am a bit indecisive. I don't know how I'm planning to kill this guy, because I'm not that great with swords, plus we're in a narrow area, and he's stabbing me all up in my grill. Back off, use an Estus Flask. Fortunately, later on I figure out a bit of an easier way of fighting Balder Knights in corridors. But for now, I don't really know what I'm doing. He keeps taunting me, he keeps wanting me to parry him. I am a sorcerer, and we do things the sorcerer way. Unfortunately, that last soul arrow took him out. So we're going to run forward and see what sort of cool thing that he was hiding. And it turns out that it's a knight shield. And it's got better defense than our wooden shield, which is handy. I was quickly looking at my equip load there. Switching to the knight shield, you can see it has 100% physical damage block, which is something that we really like, because once we block an enemy's attack, we have a better chance of it not doing any damage to us. Not quite as good on magic or fire defense, but you know, I just realized that not blocking fire defense might bite me in the butt in a little bit. That I unfortunately realize this now and not later on when I'm fighting against the bell gargoyles. But whatever, overall it's better to have physical defense because magic, lightning, and a fire are not as common as just somebody trying to stab you with a sword. So having a high physical defense is a good thing. So in here you can see that message said pincer attack ahead. And that is a very useful tip because there are enemies on both sides of you that are waiting to skewer you. And fighting two enemies at once in this game is a terrible idea. Fighting two enemies at once on opposite sides, you're basically guaranteed to die. So in this particular battle here, I finally get my wits about and figure out a good way to fight Balder Knight in a corridor, which is basically to run towards him and bait an attack, and then use a soul arrow while he's still attacking me. There's just enough time. So that takes care of him, and I am now the wiser for it. So we're going to go ahead and fight the second half of the pincer attack, and unfortunately I seem to regress a little bit, and I don't realize that I can do the exact same thing with this guy, so I'm trying to stab him because I'm a dope. I have a bad habit of not learning from my mistakes very quickly. At least I do with regards to Dark Souls. I don't know about the rest of my life, but ah well. He's gone, and the end is in sight. Right there in front of us is the undead church, but we're not going to go there right away because there's something else that we need to grab. Be wary of gorgeous view. I'll be watching out for that, I guess. Alright, so I'm walking really carefully because slightly over to the right there's a group of Balder Knights that could attack me, and that is not something that I want. So instead I carefully run down the stairs, and there's just this enemy to deal with. Stab him real quick, and give him a backstab. And combination of stab and backstab unfortunately did not do the trick. But one more stab does it. And here he drops a longsword, which I immediately switch out. That'll give me a bit more attack, and fortunately I upgraded my strength so that I'm able to get it. Here's a basement key, which will lead us to the next part of the game. Unless I decide to take a detour through the Darkroot Garden, which I certainly might. So, we're heading back up these here stairs, and once again I am trying to move very slowly and carefully not to bug any of the Balder Knights. Over here we have a halberd, which I doubt I'm going to be using. Maybe if my strength gets high enough to use a halberd, I'll switch to it. I have no idea what the strength requirement is right now, but I assume that it is more than a longsword. Halberds are actually my favorite weapon in the game. In my main character, which is a warrior, I'm using a Black Knight halberd +5, and it is sweet. But for right now, I can't wield anything of the sort, so I'm sticking with my longsword and my Sorcerer's Catalyst. Anyway, I failed in not attracting a Black Knight. So, wait, no, Balder Knight, sorry. I can't speak right now. I also can't talk, I need some water. But I'll worry about that in a bit. So he drops a Titanite shard for us, and that brings us to 2 Titanite shards, and we can use those in just a couple of minutes to upgrade our character a little bit. Well, not upgrade our character, but more like upgrade our weapon, which is close enough, I suppose. First, I gotta take out these guys, and of course I take an arrow to the face in the process. I have never been that wary of arrows. Why should I start now? So, off they go. Gonna take care of this guy real quick, too. And he's down. So we could go into the church on the left, but we're not going to. We're going to go this other way. Towards this mysterious building that I'm not entirely sure what this building's for. It looks like some kind of altar. Just taking a quick look around, you can see there's a table there. But, you know, the rest of this building seems pretty barren. It might just be some sort of turret tower, something to protect the church with. Here we have a bonfire. We're going to light this bonfire, we're going to have a quick rest, and we have enough souls to give us, unfortunately, only one level. What am I going to put it into? Intelligence is always a really good option. Vitality is also a good idea. I don't know how much I'm going to be upgrading strength or dexterity or resistance or faith. Probably resistance. Anyway, I decided to put it into intelligence because I am intelligent. Anyway, walking down here, we come across our very first blacksmith, Andre the Awesome.
Well, you must be a new arrival. I'm Andre of Astoria. If you require smithing, then speak to me.
As it turns out, we could use some smithing. There's nothing we can do to ascend our weapons, but we can reinforce this longsword that we just picked up. Just pick up a couple of Titanite shards, so we can get it to a longsword +2. And now, I believe we are strong enough to backstab, and one-hit backstab those armored skeleton soldiers. So I'm going to do some repairs here. Repair all of my armor, such as it is. I highly doubt that a pair of pants like I'm wearing now qualifies as armor. I'm also going to look at a few of his wares. The Crest of Artorias is going to be necessary or really useful later in the game, but it's 20,000 souls and we can't afford that. So instead, I'm going to look through my options. The 2 smith boxes let me upgrade my weaponry without the use of a blacksmith, but instead I purchase a repair box which lets me repair my stuff without a blacksmith. Here I can see some of the weapons and stuff he's selling. I could have picked up a longsword on my own, but fortunately that one guy dropped it, so I don't need to do that. I'm also going to learn a gesture, and now I'm just going to see.
Most weapons and armor are mighty sturdy indeed, but every hunk of metal has its breaking point. If you notice durability running low, it's time to repair. You can ask a blacksmith like myself, or do it on your own with a grindstone. The nice thing about weapons, they never betray you, so pay them a little respect, eh? Don't get yourself killed. Neither of us want to see you go hollow.
Andre is pretty awesome, just hammering away at that thing all day long, speaking in an awesome accent. Anyway, down here we have the Prowling Demon, who, as you can imagine, is a bit imposing. Usually I just run by this guy, but as a sorcerer I'm going to go ahead and take him on with my heavy soul arrows. You do need to get sort of close to this guy, otherwise the soul arrows will not affect him, as you saw earlier with my first shot. But we do have sufficient intelligence and enough soul arrows to take this guy out even so early on in the game, which is good because it'll give us some added souls and also it'll give us some extra souls, and also he's going to drop some demon titanite, which lets us upgrade demon weapons. I don't know if demon weapons is the actual term that they still use in Dark Souls, but whatever, I'm going to go ahead and use it because it's demon titanite. Anyway, a demon weapon is what I'm referring to as any weapon that is made from the soul of a boss. We haven't picked up any of those yet, but I think we will in one of the next 2 videos, possibly the next. You can basically take them to a certain blacksmith in the game and he can forge that soul with a weapon and make a totally awesome weapon. I might end up doing that. I don't know what the strength or dexterity requirements are going to be for those. I'm sure there are some intelligence weapons that I can pick up. Anyway, right here I'm debating whether or not to just stop the video here, but fortunately for you all, I decided to go ahead and continue on and push myself to get the bell rung before I stop recording. This may not have been the best idea because it was about 2 o'clock in the morning at the time and I'm at school now, but whatever. I will sacrifice anything in the name of entertaining strangers. So, I'm gonna go ahead and take out this dude. And of course, I take an arrow because I just don't know what I'm doing. Alright, let's do a backstab test. He goes down, and yep, he's not getting back up. Our longsword is sufficiently strong. He's not getting back up either. Fortunately, or unfortunately, we're going to take on some more difficult enemies in just a second. Starting right here with this particular tower knight. I'm gonna lead him out of here because I don't want to be fighting him in the middle of the church because of another enemy that lingers there that will just make my life unnecessarily hard. Try attacking him with my sword, but it doesn't seem to do all that well. My soul arrow, my regular soul arrow, does about 100 damage on the guy when he's not holding his shield up, so that's going to be my modus operandi. How many of these soul arrows? I'm counting off 1, 2, 3, 4 does the trick. Soul arrows are really nice and powerful if you keep leveling up your intelligence. And what did he drop? He dropped a Titanite shard. Unfortunately, I've reached the point with my longsword where I can't level up with only 1 Titanite shard. I'm going to need 2. I only have the 1. I have a couple of chunks, but those are not very useful for me. Here I'm pointing out this elevator, which will be useful later. Here I'm running up these stairs, which will be useful immediately. Of course, there's a Balder Knight waiting at the top, unfortunately. So I'm just going to lure him back down here because we all know how well I do against Balder Knights in corridors. So I'm failing to get the backstab. There we go. Got 1 backstab on him. I think 2 can do away with this guy. Okay, that did the trick. A backstab and a soul arrow. Over here we pick up another Firekeeper soul, which I will trade in as soon as I get back to Firelink Shrine. Up there you can see the Channeler. That particular fellow, if you get too close to him, he starts firing soul arrows of his own at you. And that is never something you want to be doing when you're fighting a tower knight, so that's why I led the guy outside. But now we're going to go up here and try and attack him. And unfortunately, he is already doing the Channeler dance, so he's already buffing these guys right here. Using a magic spell to make them stronger. They might have a bit better defense. Right now, I'm going to try and sword these guys, which is a terrible idea. Later on, I just realized that I should be soul arrowing every single one of these guys. Fortunately, a lesson that I learned much too late. But yeah, they're just going to follow me down the corridor, and I keep trying to pull out my sword thinking that things are going to change slightly and that I can now stop using my soul arrows. And of course that is not how it works at all, as we're going to see in just a second. Yep, they start falling down on me, they start slicing at me, they start crushing me, and I cannot learn from experience. Well, I eventually did, but yeah, never fight enemies in a corridor with a sword. It doesn't work. Anyhow, I'm going to sword off the last few guys now that I'm in an open area, and I'm going to run my way up the stairs. I might as well point out now that that particular elevator leads you immediately back down to Firelink Shrine, and it becomes a very handy shortcut. I didn't want to use it here because I didn't want to waste recording time. Instead, I'm going to try and fight this Channeler, who I seem to be unable to backstab, so I'm just going to go ahead and slice away at him. He runs over here, and I knock him off, and he dies on the ground in a very movie villain-esque fashion that made me happy. And it gives me 1,000 souls, which is a nice number of souls to have. So there are a few different ways I can go here. I decide to go this way. And the first thing I see here is a Balder Knight, and he's going to start running at me any second now. So, of course, I get out of the corridor, and I'm just going to quickly backstab him in this particular area. This is not a point in the E3 demo that I ever made it to. I managed to kill the Fang armored boar thingy, and then shortly after that the guy asked me if I wanted to take my time and invade somebody. And turns out that they had set it up so you could invade other people who were just trying to play the demo and get on with their lives and write up reports about the game. So I immediately said yes and started hunting down and trying to kill this poor sap who was like in the exact same room as me. So if he noticed that I was some guy trying to stab him up, then no, that could have not gone well for me. But in any case...
Oh, still human, are you? Then I am in luck. Could you help me? As you can see, I am stuck without recourse.
I suppose we can give him a hand. He seems like a nice guy. Failed to see how this would go wrong.
Thank you. Yes, sincerely. I am Knight Lautrec of Karim. I truly appreciate this. And I guarantee a reward. Only later.
Yeah, what a nice guy he is. I hope I see him again sometime. Anyway, so yeah, I was invading another dude. We were just duking it out in the Undead Parish area, right around where you fight the boar, and it was actually a really close duel. I was not that great at the game, but I managed to get him down to just a sliver of his health before he finally managed to kill me. I wonder now how experienced he was. If I was fighting a really good Souls player, probably not the case. But, you know, since good Souls players, they're really good at the game. If you've played enough PvP, you'll see some guys who can just ruin you. And he did not particularly ruin me. I was able to do pretty well against him, so I suspect we were both new at the game. But in any case, yeah, I totally tried to ruin somebody's day at E3, and that is a nice memory for me. Anyhow, large soul of a nameless soldier, and we've explored this part of the church long enough, so we're going to finally make our way upstairs and take on the bell gargoyles so that we can ring the very first bell. Right around here, if I were unhallowed, I could summon Sorcerer to help me out, but I am not unhallowed, and in any case, I am not going to fight any of these bosses with help. I may help somebody else, but I'm going to solo these bosses. So, let's go ahead and go forward. We're out on the roof of the church, and let's watch this cutscene and then see how well I fare. So yeah, that's about how well I fared. In any case, I did not fail 3 times. As Thomas Edison would say, I ruled out 3 strategies that didn't work, and now I have a working. So, first of all, I'm going to grab my bloodstain. Now, with my current stats, if I fire 2 heavy soul arrows at the guy, the other bell gargoyle will come immediately. So instead, I'm going to fire 1 regular soul arrow, and then 2 heavy soul arrows. And at that point, the second bell gargoyle will come and I'll be slightly better off. So, there's the second heavy soul arrow there, and immediately switch to the regular soul arrows because they are much easier to fire without getting hit. And I can, as you can see here, the bell gargoyle loses health fast. And there we go, I sorted him for the very last bit of damage, and now one of them is gone. The second one is still here, though, but I can deal with 1 bell gargoyle without a problem, fortunately. We're just going to go ahead and get behind him and start soul arrowing him as well. He turns around to try and attack us, and he's going to use more of his flame breath, but fortunately, our soul arrows have a longer reach than his flame breath does, so he poses barely a problem at all. And there we are. I've taken out both the bell gargoyles, and inexplicably, I did not get any gear from them, which is really frustrating. Usually I get like a gargoyle helm from them, or a gargoyle weapon, but absolutely nothing this time, which is really annoying. And in case you're wondering, no, in none of those 3 previous deaths did I manage to kill even 1 gargoyle. so that does not do much for my chances of getting loot. But in any case, we can worry about that later. I'm not going to be using any of the gargoyle weapons that I know of. Normally in a normal playthrough I would try and go for the gargoyle halberd as soon as I could because it's a nice strong weapon and it ups my resistances in various places. But we're a sorcerer now, so we don't have to worry about that. Instead, we are going to ring the bell. And the bell is rung. Some other player somewhere is hearing that I rung the bell, and they will hopefully be encouraged to continue playing on their own. Maybe they can watch this video and figure out how to kill the bell gargoyles. Or they could just summon Solaire. And the very first time I fought them, I had 2 summons that just completely wasted them, and I don't think I did anything. Anyway, this is a pretty good stopping point, so I'm going to stop recording, and in the next video, I think we're going to go into the Dark Root Garden. So, we'll see you guys then.